For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, Corey Sandin, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Royal Polaris, the world's finest long-range sports fisher. By Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Corey Sandin. We're here in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here right next to the San Diego landings in Point Loma. And boy, do we have a great show for you today. Right here, Mr. Ken Franke from Sport Fishing Association of California, Eric Cord, who is the regional manager of assistant chief of the Marine Enforcement. Right here, you can see he's lawed up there. He's got all his gear on. And on the phone with us, the regional manager of Marine Resources is Craig Schumann. That's going to be a great show. I want to thank these guys from Department of Fish and Wildlife being with us here today, and it's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. Southern California's sport fishing voice is Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
For quality, the Islander out of Fisherman's Landing is a favorite among anglers. But Islander Charters is much more than great fishing. The quality of the captains and crew, as well as the great meals and service, speak for themselves. Comfortable staterooms, a super clean and well taken care of boat are just a few of the reasons the Islander is so popular. The Islander specializes in 1.5 to 5 day fishing. Experience the Islander difference. Visit IslanderSportFishing.com.
It's time for the Power Pro 30-second seminar. I like catching big fish, and I like smaller reels, too. How do I make sure that I have the capacity to land the big one? I fill my reels with Power Pro Max Quattro. It's 25% thinner than standard Power Pro, so you get more line on that small reel. Power Pro has a complete series of highly effective lines, including the brand new Power Pro Depth Hunter Offshore, with different colors every 100 feet. Perfect for flatfall fishing. Want to learn more? Check PowerPro.com.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers now and make it your best summer yet. Amazing offers and great selection of the best-selling trucks in America for 47 years. Ford F-Series, featuring gas, hybrid, or all-electric. These are deals you've been waiting for. So don't wait. Make it Ford. Make it yours. Make it now. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and it's going to be a really fun show today, Pete. I don't know how you lined all this up today, but
yeah,
it was Ken Franke.
Yeah, thanks to Ken.
Morning, guys.
Ken. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Excited to be
Appreciate
here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's pretty amazing here that you were able to put all this together. And we from Santa Barbara, live from Santa Barbara, I believe we have Craig Schumann on the line. Good morning, Craig.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Hey, doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us. And Craig, describe what your job is with the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
How much time do you got? So I'm the Marine Region Manager, and within Marine Region, we oversee the science and policy for all of marine fisheries off of California, marine protected areas. We're looking at the offshore wind terminals that are going in. So we do it all. That's all in my shop here under Fish and Wildlife.
Wow, that's a big job. And you've been a friend of fishermen for a long time, friend of Let's Talk Hookup, been with us for a long time. But we also have Eric Cord with us. And describe your job, Eric, which is a big one here in the southern region.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me in. So I am the assistant chief for Marine Enforcement. I supervise all the patrol boats out of California. We're the guys that go around, at sea and board commercial fishing boats and sport fishing boats and work a lot out at the Channel Islands. And we have about 50 officers dedicated to marine enforcement. But we also have local coastal officers that, work the coastline and the smaller skiffs that I don't directly supervise them, but we work with the coastal wardens as well. But our enforcement district is specifically just pretty much the boat guys. And then we also have some lieutenant specialists that do, a little more lengthy investigations and whatnot.
Now, you're not one of the guys standing on the cliffs watching through gyro binoculars. That's not your group, right?
We can be.
You can be.
We do occasionally, take time out for some special investigations. We had a special investigation out at Santa Barbara Island looking for a particular bad guy last year, and we were the guys with the binos looking at a particular fisherman that had an interest in the MPA out there. So
Gotcha.
So occasionally we do some covert stuff, but mostly it'll be flying the flag and being on the patrol boats, and you'll see us that way.
Yeah, and how many of the big patrol boats are there in the southern region here?
There are 7 patrol boats.
There are.
We have some smaller boats up in Crescent City, Eureka, and then we have the bigger boats. One out of Fort Bragg, another big boat, the Patrol Boat Marlin, out of San Francisco. And then we have another one out of Half Moon Bay, our brand new boat, which I'll talk about later, the Patrol Boat Barracuda that we just purchased. That's out of Half Moon Bay. That replaced an older boat, the Steelhead. Then we have the patrol boat out of Morro Bay, the Bluefin. And then in Ventura, it's the Swordfish. LA is the Coho. And the most furthest south boat is going to be the Thresher out of Dana Point. And that was a boat I was on for 23 years.
Wow.
23 years.
Well, I was on a patrol boat for 23 years before I promoted. The Thresher, probably 21 years.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And the majority of your job is commercial fishermen or recreational fishermen, or combination of
Anything on the ocean, combination of both. When we're out there, we'll board, whoever is out there. Sometimes we'll, on particular times of year, we'll focus on a commercial fishery. Sometimes we'll focus a little bit more on the recreational, depending on what the fishing bite is doing, and all of our officers like to look at the fish reports, and we kind of follow the fish, as my old colleague used to say, is follow the fish, and that usually will run into the people that are fishing that we need to talk to.
That's cool. And Ken, how do you integrate with these two gentlemen?
Daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to tell you, honestly, Pete, between Craig and Eric, I am constantly on the phone with them, getting clarification on regulations. And they're really good about when the public calls and is confused about something. Oh, we can square that away. They'll edit their website, or Eric and his team, if they see a pattern out in the ocean, they'll go, hey, you need to go and convey to everybody they ought to be, looking out for this, that, and the other. Like, we're about to go to a depth change here.
Right.
And I was talking with the warden about it yesterday. So as a result, we sent out a notice yesterday to everybody in the fleet, just reminding them that there's going to be a depth change on October 1st. But it's just that back and forth communication, and it really works well. And on Craig's side, he's on the policy side. That's our rules. So having input and participation at his level and working with the Fish and Game Commission, a lot of the results of their work is why we all get to enjoy fishing.
That's cool. Yeah. So Craig Schumann, the depth change, what is Ken referring to, please?
So this is part of the new groundfish regulations that were adopted last year by the Fish and Game Commission. So we will be going to offshore of 50 fathoms first.
Okay.
And that'll give us access back to that deeper water, those areas in the Cowcod conservation area that were opened up. So we'll be back fishing that deep water again.
That's October 1st. So that means off limits will be inshore of that?
Inshore of 50 will be off limits for groundfish.
Until December 31st?
Until next year.
That's going to carry us through the 31st, and then we have our rockfish closer January 1st through the end of March. And the general opener will be April 1.
April 1, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that general opener opens all waters?
Yes, it will open all waters for Southern California, all depths for all fish, and then our other management areas have it's going to be the greater than 50 fathoms.
So Pete, one thing that's really important for the listeners, what you're hearing in these changes and the reason behind them is the department has worked really hard to get the maximum opportunity for all of us to go fishing.
Yeah.
And so they carefully look at catch limits and different species of fish. Some are federally managed, some are state managed, some are both. And they're trying to do everything they can to maximize the amount of time we all get to go out and enjoy fishing. So I always encourage people, pay attention to the regulations, but understand behind the scenes, they're doing their best to make sure that we can go do what we want to do.
Sure.
And that's a really good point. One of the common, complaints that we hear from the general public is these darn regulations are so confusing. Why do they have to be so confusing? And as Ken pointed out, it's sort of a conglomeration of our fishery managers are trying to keep the fish around. We're also coming up with rules that are going to, accomplish that goal, but also give you, the fishermen the maximum opportunity, the most opportunities that they can. And so we kind of have this, what it's looking now where we have this flip-flopping of the depth constraints, and it can be a little. It's not like the traditional closed season, open season. This is your limit. It's a little bit different than how we used to manage things, but we've been successful with it for the most part so far, and we do, the regulations, you have to read them a little bit more. You got to know a little bit more before you go. But as Ken pointed out, it's given people the most opportunities that we can give them.
And truly, the easiest way to do it would be to just shut it down for 6 months. But and that would be the easiest way, right? Black and white. It's closed and then it's open. But to manage it the way that it is, it's a little difficult. Like you said, it's kind of confusing and difficult to understand at times for the angler, but it's open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think,
and that's what we hear from our representatives on the Groundfish Advisory Subpanel at the Pacific Fishery Management Council, which is actually meeting this week, is time on the water. We hear over and over, we need time on the water. And so that's why we go shallow, deep to protect some of those constraining stocks, we call them. And in the South, that's copper rockfish right now. So giving those fish a break, going shallow, going deep, but keeping folks on the water throughout the year as much as we can.
And Craig, are any of those closures at those times for spawning purposes too? I mean, I always wondered that myself. Like spawning, or the viviparous, they're born live. Like, are they given birth at that point?
So the winter closure, that's primarily for that purpose. As we get later into the season, that's more just to give those fish a break and reduce overall catch, because we're fishing under federal catch limits. And we don't want to exceed those federal catch limits, because then we run into all sorts of problems.
wow. So it seems to me maybe less confusing now that there's very descriptive depth limits than it was kind of before. It's like, well, you can't fish here, but you can fish here. Are you finding that, Eric?
I would agree with that. And I think, probably the most important thing to, for fishermen or fishers to realize is that this depth limit that you're looking at, it's actually a depth line. It's a fathom line. So it's not really by your sounder. It's so when we change the depths here in October, it's going to be seaward of the 50 fathom line, and that is a line that the feds have put out on in the Code of Federal Regulations. It's a line that hopefully all the fishermen can get in their plotters. And it's simply being on one side or the other. So you're not going by off your sounder. You need to be seaward of that line
Of the 50 fathom or 300-foot line.
Yes.
Yeah.
In order to catch rockfish.
So, and that includes Catalina, San Clemente Island, all the Channel Islands and such.
Correct.
All of the above.
Yes. Those lines are along the mainland coast and all of our islands.
And all of the islands.
Banks, yeah.
So seaward of that line.
Yes.
So what happens if you're seaward of that line and it gets there? You come up on a high spot. That's still okay.
Still okay as long as you're seaward of that line, the line that's in the regulations.
The demarcation line.
Yeah, one thing, Pete, for the listeners, if they go to the Department of Fish and Wildlife website or the SAC website at californiasportfishing.org, halfway down on our website, if you click on Southern California regulations, it'll take you to the DFW site, but it's got the entire booklet for the regulations, but then they also have an interactive map where they can click on the area on the line, and it shows you right there exactly what the regulations are. So this should be pretty easy. The department's done a really good job on the education side. I sent out all that information yesterday to all the captains in our fleet, and that's what we're going by. And so I highly recommend anybody that's going to go out and go fishing on their own boat, make sure you got a good idea where you are.
Yeah, for sure. One thing we face here in San Diego area is fishing in Mexican waters, and and of course there's no restrictions down there on the catch other than limits and such like that. How do you guys enforce that, and what are the rules? Because that seems to be a little bit confusing, and even confusing for some of your guys too. Of you're coming back from Mexico, coming Coronado Islands down south, and you have rockfish on the boat. What's necessary if you're stopped on your way in by a Fish and Wildlife officer? What's necessary to show that officer?
That's good. Good question, Pete. So, I spent my whole career in San Diego and dealing with, the Mexico question or the fishers coming back from Mexico. It's always, been a part of my career and having to deal with it. And one of the questions that we get on fish coming back from Mexico being imported by boat is how does the department have any authority of the fishing regulations in Mexico? And it's not per se that we're enforcing Mexican regulations. We're enforcing state regulations, but it's the regulation of importing fish into the state and basically bringing fish back. So in order for a fisher to be able to do that, you got to have one of three things. One, the fish need to be taken legally in Mexico. You got to have your licenses. You can't, go over limit in Mexico or violate any laws down there. And then the fish cannot be expressly prohibited in the state of California. And the third thing is you have to have your importation for declaration. It's an easy form. It's on our website. If you go to your favorite search engine and look for importation of fish into California, or the declaration form. If you Google that per se, you're going to come right up to our link there, and it will put you in contact or give you a link. Easy download. Yeah. It's a form you can download. You can either print it. There's also a link there on our website where you can fill the form out online.
Oh. And can you do it on your app?
You can do it on your phone.
Okay.
Or you can go on the website and print out the forms and have them on your boat. That form is required at the time of entry into the state, which means technically state waters when you get offshore 3 miles.
So when you cross back over into the United States with rockfish on your boat from Mexico, you have to have that form filled out
into the state of California.
The state of California,
so 3 miles out.
Yeah.
You need to have it there ready, filled out at or immediately prior to the time of entry. And you put, fill out the form, have your fish that you're bringing in. And if it's, let's say, let's go back to what the expressly prohibited means. So I'll give you an example. Broomtail grouper.
Black sea bass.
Well, black sea bass is different. There's actually a specific regulation that allows you to import black sea bass from Mexico. It's a specific provision and regulation so that you can bring one fish back from Mexico.
So wait a minute. So you can bring a black sea bass
from Mexico? Yes,
you can.
Yes.
Well, because
wait a second,
right?
Here.
Well, I mean, like the Mexican law, like Eric Cord is mentioning, you can legally catch one in Mexico.
Yes,
but you legally,
it's a bit confusing.
It's not expressly. What was your term used?
It's the law says if it's not expressly prohibited, and black sea bass, obviously you can't take here, but there is a specific provision in law that allows you to bring it back from Mexico.
One per angler.
One per angler. Now, broomtail grouper and Gulf grouper, that is prohibited year-round in California. You cannot bring that back. So that would be a violation of California laws if you bring something back that's expressly prohibited. Another example is short fish. There's no size limits in Mexico, but we have size limits here. Same with our fillet lengths. If you fillet your fish, you got to have the right fillet lengths
and skin
patches. So our fillet regulations apply if you're bringing that back.
Okay.
So for those examples, those are those specific provisions against those, and you cannot bring that fish back into California unless it complies with California law. So
what about Cowcod?
Cowcod. I'm gonna say no on that one.
Okay.
There's a little bit of
There's a gray area.
There's a
there.
little bit of a gray area,
Yeah.
but if it's the litmus test is if it's prohibited year round and the bag limit's 0, don't bring it back.
Yeah.
But like I
But
said, for
there's
black
an
sea
exception
bass,
that's
there's
one.
a particular
Yeah.
exception.
That's
for black sea
interesting.
bass.
So, Craig, we are now fishing in waters that were previously prohibited, cowcod conservation zones, and when you go there, you're catching a lot of cowcod. Why why are cowcod still prohibited?
So a bit of history, right? So cowcod were declared overfished. We shut down those huge areas 30 odd years ago. Stocks have been rebuilt ahead of schedule, which is a great thing.
Absolutely.
We still don't have a lot of information about cowcod. And we also don't know what level of directed take may result from retention allowances. So we're taking a slow approach. You know, what we don't want to do is turn everyone loose, get out there, put that stock back in jeopardy and have to shut those waters back down again. So this is the first year we're fishing deep water like that. We're going to get a lot of good information on the numbers of cowcod encountered, the numbers that were descended, the numbers that survived, and we'll use that information to move forward, and also looking towards a new stock assessment that's scheduled for 2027 through the federal council process.
Yeah, one thing, Pete, I'd like to add to that, we're absolutely, the fleet's in support of what Craig is talking about.
Sure.
We want incremental changes, and so this precautionary effort by the department to not just run and cut everybody loose, this is sound decision making that we really think is important, because we don't want to have a whole bunch of boats go out there, catch 30,000 cowcod, and all of a sudden now you got to shut down the whole state again.
Because when you open it up to recreational, you also open it up to commercial, right? That's kind of the
It'll
general
depend on
sense.
whatever the
Not
regulations are.
necessarily.
No, really? Okay, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
different regulations for commercial.
Okay, that's good.
Interesting. A lot going on, Pete.
Yeah, a lot going on. We have a lot of show left for you here. As you can hear, what a fantastic opportunity to talk to two of the top guys in our enforcement, fish and wildlife. Just great to have them here with us.
And it's awesome, Pete, because they don't have to do this. But
No.
the fact that Eric Corda's in here
Yes.
and Craig Schumann on the phone and just being a part of Let's Talk Hookup, being a part of the show this morning is an honor. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know any other way to say it.
Absolutely.
Really cool having Ken
Yeah.
Franke in here too,
And
right?
Ken,
Yes.
one correction, I just
Yes.
double checked. It's 2 per angler for black sea bass coming from Mexico.
Really?
2 per
Just,
angler.
just make sure you
So
have that
crazy.
declaration form
But you
filled
have to
out
fill
and your
that
Mexican license
and your-
prior
Wow.
to coming in the state.
And
So, and on that same note on black sea bass, I am going to say one personal note.
Yeah.
Don't kill the big ones, man. Those things are no good to eat, and they're ancient. They're like 60, 70 years old, and they're the breeders. They're the things that keep the stock well. So the best ones to eat are the small ones, the sub 20, 30 pounders. So please let the big ones go.
And they're a part of the ecosystem that, like, I mean, you look at hawks and eagles, and you look
Yeah.
at coyotes or whatever that might manage
Yeah,
on their own the ecosystem. That's what they are, man. They're
Yeah.
a part of the ecosystem.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can hear, we can have a great show here, Corey.
A lot of fun ahead of us for the next 2 hours. Like we said, having Eric Warden here and Craig Schumann on the phone and Ken Franke in studio and in the world headquarters. And
Yes.
could they see outside where the XL
Yes, they
was
can.
unloading? And-
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, XL's
their
in the
thing.
background there. Yeah.
So if you want to join us today, I'm sure there's a lot of questions. People have their opinions, questions, whatever they want to bring to the table. 213-432-1090 is a telephone number. And or you can send us a text via the app. I already see a list of texts there that'll come to Pete and I. And
Yep.
it's a one-way deal. So you want to make sure you leave your name and telephone number on that on the texting. And you can go to the app, which is a super easy free download. And right there it says text the show. And we're giving away a really cool thing at the end of the show. And it's an awesome sponsor. And it's just a really cool thing to have. $300 gift certificate to Costa. How about that, man? One lucky caller, texter, Eric Cord, was checking out the coin right there earlier. And
the challenge coin.
We'll have him flip the challenge coin. And whether our $300 gift certificates going to a caller or a texter at the
That's
end of the show.
Yeah, you get to have a pair of sunglasses. You can get some Costa gear, shirts,
got
and
killer sun shirts.
Great sun shirts.
Yeah,
for
awesome
sure.
stuff. So you want to join us again? The telephone number 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app. We're going to be right back. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Everyone has their go-to fishing spot. My spot is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. Rock Cod Rick here to say if you're looking for the ultimate Alaska experience and the best value in Alaska, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodations, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience.
Good job there. We haven't even
literally
ventured
sent
into
hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear. Literally all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me. Book your trip to Kingfisher Charters and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136, or check kingfishercharters.com.
Offshore fishing is on. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. For bluefin tuna and yellowtail, nothing beats the Shimano Talica, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. Shimano's Speed 2 is under the heaviest of load. For all your Shimano, visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet. Fisherman's Landing offers half-day trips on the Dolphin and full-day trips on the Liberty. Many trips can be easily booked online at fishermanslanding.com. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
Lobster season is here. It's time to gear up with the best in the business. Promar, based in SoCal. Promar knows lobster and makes everything you need to catch these tasty critters. The Promar guys are hardcore lobster fishermen and have designed the most successful hoop nets and accessories on the market, including the Ambush Series hoop net line, the original hoop net designed for SoCal lobster hooping. Visit Promar on Facebook or on the web at promarahi.com. The lighter the bite and the cleaner the water means one thing. Need a thinner leader, more natural presentations. That's where Seaguar Gold Label leader material shines. It's Seaguar's thinnest leader material yet. That means it's even less visible underwater and creates more natural presentations for better catch rates on leader-shy fish. With exceptional knot and tinsel strength, this advanced leader material is now available from 2-pound test for fishing trout in the Sierra to 80-pound test for big yellowfin in Guadalupe. Get Seaguar Gold Label at your favorite tackle dealer or learn more at seaguar.com.
Whether you're boating, floating, paddling, fishing, or just chilling, remember a good day on the water always starts with everyone wearing life jackets. Save the ones you love. Life jackets save lives. A message from California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and man, an exciting show, and again, having Eric Cord and Craig Schumann, Ken Franke involved, and want to give us a call, 213-432-1090.
Yeah, JP standing by for us.
There's an open line for you.
Yeah,
waiting right there.
Open line. Craig Schumann's on the line with us from Santa Barbara. You can see I have the on the Facebook and YouTube Live, I have the shot of the outside. There goes the Excel pulling away probably to the fuel dock, but pretty quiet overall at the San Diego landings this morning. We'll come back in the studio here, and you can see Eric's ready. You're ready to go to work this morning.
I am.
Yeah,
I'm in uniform.
Yeah,
and working on a Saturday, no less.
Yeah, working on Saturday.
I used to always work weekends, but since I promoted, they give me weekends off now. But.
So you're the second in line in the wardens.
I work for the chief of patrol. Yes.
Wow. Well, yeah. And who's the chief of patrol? I think we've talked to him before.
Yeah. So, recently our former chief, Dave Best, he retired last year. Our new chief, Chief Nathaniel Arnold, he was a deputy chief for a long time. Really great guy to work for. He's very supportive of enforcement and our constituents, and he's always trying to listen to both sides of any conversation or any issue. So really good guy to work for.
And you guys are trained peace officers, right?
Yeah, full peace officers. We have a full post academy. It's a 6-month academy where we learn. We're trained in all of the traditional police topics and training and tactics, but we also have our specific fish and game topics and training that we have to cover. So our academy is a little bit longer than most traditional peace officer academies. But that's up in the Chico area. Our academy up there, we have about 30 to 50 officers per academy per year, depending on our attrition rate. But the academy folks do a really good job at training those new officers coming into the field. And right now we're in a field training phase where we have about 50 new officers that are in the field that are partnered up with an existing, a more seasoned wildlife officer, where they kind of learn how to make contacts and do inspections, and really critical time post academy, because academy is it's a school, it's a closed environment, it's a classroom environment, and they go through scenarios and range training, but now you're at the phase where you're in the real world and you're making real contacts, and we need to make sure not only do the officers know how to do their job, but are they safe? Are they safe with themselves and the public? And so it's critical time. Most officers do pretty good. Occasionally we have some an officer or two that just for some reason can't make the tradition. It's pretty rare, or the transition. It's pretty rare, but most of them do pretty good, and they're out training right now.
Now, I've heard you refer to it as officers, but from state to state, you're considered a warden. So in the state of California, is it warden or officer?
So, I mean,
good question. What's the difference?
So a few years ago, our director changed the name of the department from Fish and Game to Fish and Wildlife. And we kind of went, our official title is Fish and Wildlife Officer. It's kind of a bit of a mouthful sometimes, but we call ourselves game wardens a lot as well. We like to refer to ourselves as game wardens,
which is what it really is.
Yeah,
right?
and either one is fine. Our official title is wildlife officers. But we consider ourselves game wardens as well.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing to be clear, I think most listeners know I'm prior law enforcement. I used to get covered by fish and game wardens on hot stops on calls. So they're cops. Don't run a red light in front of a warden. But they're regarded just as an equivalent to any other law enforcement agency.
How about that?
All right. Well, hey, phones are packing up. Again, 213-432-1090. JP standing by for us. Thanks, JP, for being there today. And I believe we're going south down to the Baja right now. Talk to our buddy Chris Moore from Smoky's Curing and Cantina Company. Buenos dias, Chris.
Morning, Chris.
Pedro, Corey, buenos dias. How we doing today, boys?
Better behave.
Excelente.
We got the officer in studio. You better be on your best behavior.
I hear that, man, and I'm sitting here behaving myself. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
So anyway, let's get right to it, guys. So another really productive week after that storm passed through last week of tuna fishing. Lots of tuna, limits on tuna for pretty much most of the boats. Not in the range that we were seeing last month. A lot of 20, 30s, a lot of 10s, and so I don't know if you know Pedro and Corey, but today is the tuna shootout hosted by Palma de Cortez.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a big tournament. You can win a good amount of money and as well as a car. But here's the thing, it's going to be interesting to see what happens today because like I said, there's not a lot of poundage coming in. My prediction would be something like maybe if you caught like something in the 50, 55 pound range, you need to come and get that fish weighed because you only get to weigh one fish and you could be losing weight while you're out there on the water. But if it were me fishing and obviously the guys on Vaquera doing this, I'd be out there fishing the kite today. And I think that's going to be the advantage that somebody gets today in that tournament. So, you never know with these tournaments. Somebody may get lucky and get something bigger, but it could be something in the 40-pound range. And
well,
you never know with the tournament.
Chris, yeah, I mean, you could win a car for a 50-pounder, and if you have a chance, call us tomorrow and give us the results. That'd be kind of fun.
I will do that. I was planning on doing that. So yeah. Also, we saw a couple, not too many. We saw a couple wahoo this week, but the Van Wormers decided to combine the wahoo Gold Cup with the tuna shootout. So it's a 2-in-1 today.
Oh.
But with that being said, I think if I were in turn, I'd be targeting the tuna. I think that would be the best bet. So there's that. And then also, plenty marlin still. The marlin fishing's really good. Blues, stripers, we've got sailfish. So yeah, it should be an interesting day. Always a fun day when there's a tournament going on down here. So we'll see. And I'm obviously rooting for Vaquera. They're gonna be giving it a go today. And I told them stick with that kite. And they've got a bunch of calamari on board to chum and sardines. So it should. And I will give you an update on that.
All right.
Sure will, guys.
Fantastic. Of course, for chartering Vaquera, coming over to Smokies, the best food in the East Cape, and of course, getting your fish processed at Smokies. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Chris?
You can email me at BajaSmokeDog@gmail with 2 G's, or get a hold of us at VaqueraSportFishing.com. And it's starting to heat up down here, guys. The weather, is perfect today. We got a little cloud cover, and fishing should be good. We don't have anything really on the horizon regarding storms. We might get through this year pretty good. But
knock on wood, man. All right, Chris.
October's going to be going off.
Yeah, we'll be ready, man. I'll be there for sure. Looking forward to our
fish on the 14th, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Chris. And we'll get an update tomorrow on the tuna shootout. That's fun. Thanks a lot for the call.
All right, guys. Have a good day.
Appreciate that. Hey, phones are packing up. Let's jump into it, Corey.
Let's do it, Pete. How about John? John calling from Escondido. Good morning, John. Appreciate you joining us on Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. So my question, when you talked earlier about going into Mexico and bringing back into American waters. So like I go on an 8-day trip and I catch a leopard grouper. And I also catch a black sea bass. Are they the same? They count where I'm only allowed 2, 1 of each, or am I allowed 2 of each because they're a different species?
Eric?
So the leopard groupers are not expressly prohibited in California, so you can bring those in.
But the broomtails are.
The broomtail and Gulf groupers are expressly prohibited. You cannot bring those in. So as long as you're following Mexican limits for the leopard grouper, you're okay to bring those in with the declaration.
Okay, and as far as black sea bass, you can bring 2 in.
2 per angler.
Per angler.
And
no matter what the length of trip is.
It's 2 per angler per day.
That's interesting. And the Mexican limits allow a 3-day.
Correction.
Oh, no.
2 per trip.
2 per trip. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And for those that don't know, the leopard grouper are cabrilla, or what most anglers know as as cabrilla.
That's a cabrilla.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Which are delicious.
Oh, bring it on.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, John, thanks a lot for the call this morning. And I have a great text here from John in Whittier. He says, good morning. Thank you for coming on the show and helping us understand your role. Every encounter I have had with your officers has been polite and professional, and I have always appreciated that. What's the possibility of bringing back printed recreational regulation books? Being on my phone is definitely not what I like to do when I'm on the water. It's also much easier to thumb through a book, as many of us like to do.
I'm going to let Craig take that answer.
Yeah, Craig.
So this is something we've been working on for quite some time. As you all know, we used to have printed reg books. With the state's desire to move to paperless to save resources, save trees, we stopped printing those several years ago. That's what's led to the development of that website that Ken referenced earlier. We're also actively working on a mobile application that will allow you to know what the fishing rules are, where you are in real time, even when you don't have cell service. What we encourage folks to do, if they don't know the regs, you can print certain sections. So we've got the PDF book available online. You can print certain sections, do your homework before you go. I don't expect we'll be going back to paper anytime soon.
Not in this state.
Yeah, one thing also from the end user standpoint, when they update regulations or do in-season adjustments to give us more opportunity, they can update them instantly then. So
Yes.
This is actually a huge benefit for the angler to be able to go paperless.
So what you're doing is you're basically telling John and us old guys, you better get with it to the new age, right?
There you go.
Yeah, because once it's in paper, it's in black and white, it's done.
That's it.
But if the rig's going to benefit the sport fishermen.
Yep. And that's what the department does. They try to maximize opportunities. So if they see that there's an in-season opportunity, they're trying to give it to us.
Yes, please, and thank you.
Yeah, we win.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
So,
Corey, you have a great text, huh?
I do, and it comes from Kathy in La Quinta, and says, "Good morning. I wanted to take a moment to thank the Department of Fish and Wildlife for an amazing opportunity to raise rainbow trout in my classroom. I am a third grade teacher in the Coachella Valley and have raised rainbow trout to release from egg to fry stage in my classroom with my students for the past 10 years. And it's an amazing, awesome program," she says.
That's so cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Kind of neat.
Hey, Pete, got a real quick question, because I know a lot of the listeners out there. Eric, as far as the skin patches versus whole fish, ground fish, could you explain the regulations on that so that everybody understands it, and the new descending device requirement?
Sure. So for
important stuff.
So for rockfish, you got to have the whole skin attached, and that helps us with identification. There are some reg changes, proposed reg changes coming up for next year, where the other groundfish species.
When you say a whole skin patch, is that a 1x1?
The entire skin needs to be
all skin on the fish needs to
be groundfish
on rockfish or groundfish.
Yeah, right now it's rockfish where the entire skin needs to be on one side of the fillet.
Wow,
and I didn't know this.
So wait a minute. So if you're slabbing both sides, it's just one side.
Well, the fillet is only going to have.
Yeah, I mean, there's two fillets on a fish.
Yes,
both of them have to have the full skin,
the full skin,
all skin
for rockfish.
So you cannot remove skin on rockfish.
Correct, and that's for identification.
Okay. So when you're filleting, you can. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Craig.
I was going to say when the crew members on a sport fishing boat fillets, you can actually lift off most of the skin. It's still attached. Yeah. It's just when you get home, you can pop it right off.
Okay, gotcha. Craig.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, all right. You guys, great minds think alike, right?
And sheephead also have to have the entire skin.
Sheephead have to kill.
Which is crazy, because I always thought it was, like Pete said, the 1-inch square patch.
Yeah, good to know.
Yes.
But for halibut,
when did that regulation take effect, or has that always been the case?
Rockfish has been that way for a while.
Oh, it has.
Yes.
So I've been. Okay, I'm glad I didn't.
I'm wiping the sweat off my forehead.
Well, that's why we're all here. It's just
fill us in.
And same with halibut too. Halibut has the entire skin. Yeah, and
all the skin.
I would look up those regs, and it's very specific on how the fillet has to be for halibut. It's got to be that 16 3/4 inches, and the one side of the fish has to be attached at the end. The last third of the fillet has to be I think it's the third. The last 2 inches of the fillet needs to be attached of that one side. So
okay, but the whole thing needs to be attached. But you could cut it up to that last 2 inches.
2 inches to split the fillet, that one fillet, and then the full skin attached. And also tuna, the 4 loins that you get out of the tuna, in addition to the belly and the collar that you have to have when you fillet those, the loins have to have the entire skin attached.
All for ID purposes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one question I get all the time: what happens when they get to the dock? Let's say somebody brings a private boat to a boat ramp, their fish are whole, they get into the parking lot and they're going to fillet the fish there. What are the regs? Where's their transition?
Great question.
Well, once they're brought ashore, then you can fillet it however you want.
There you go.
But if you're on the dock, you cannot do that.
Ashore.
Yeah, you want to get.
Yeah, what's
you
want to
get on land?
Of ashore?
Get on land.
Get on land.
You can't.
So you can't sit at your dock, and you can't sit at your dock on the boat.
You're on the boat.
Because you're still on the.
You're on a pier
over the water.
Yes, if you're over the water.
And the same with tailing lobster. As we approach lobster season next Friday, we haven't ventured into lobster. You can't tail lobster while you're sitting on the boat at the dock.
You technically can't tail lobster until
Point
it's prepared for immediate consumption. Yes.
Okay.
When you're ready to gobble down, you can then get rid of that head.
Okay. So technically, if you're at home and an officer you have Eric over for dinner,
Let's
and he
look in
opens your refrigerator
freezer.
and you have tailed lobster in your freezer, you are in violation.
Pete, are you admitting to something there?
The last thing I want to do is give someone a ticket for a tailed lobster in their home, but technically that's the letter of the law.
That's
yes.
the letter of law. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Good stuff. but I mean, as silly as that is, we're all laughing because it is kind of silly, but that's the law.
It's
right?
it's really important on the boat. You know, when we're boarding people out at sea, out of Catalina Island, a lot of people like to enjoy their lobster, right when they catch it, maybe, or the next day. And you got to keep those lobsters whole up until you're ready to eat it, because if you're just sitting there with tails on your boat, that is a violation. You will get a citation, because the few bad folks that are out there that want to hide a short, that they think they can get away with it by taking the head off, because we don't have a legal measure or a legal standard to go by for the tails.
Right.
We have to measure the carapaces, the heads.
Right.
It's got to all be connected.
It's got to be connected. Yeah.
But you can cook a lobster on your boat.
Yes.
So if you go lobster fishing,
yes.
Do you have to keep the carapace while you're cooking it?
Yes.
Okay.
Don't get rid of it until
that is
ready
gone.
to eat.
Until it's in your belly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Oh, we're having such a good time. We're going to be right back on Let's Talk Hookup. More with this, and we got calls, we got your text, and the fish reports coming up too when we return on Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
The fish are biting and it's time to go. Hi, this is Ben, and you will see me at my
Dana
dad's
Landing
shop,
live
Dana
spot right
Landing
after this,
in
Pete.
Mission Bay, or maybe in front of the shop on my kayak. It doesn't matter if you are out there
on
a kayak with me, on your boat, headed out on a sport boat. Dana Landing has everything you need. We call it the one-stop
Pete, you
shop
got me,
for
right?
a great day on the water, because it truly is. Food, bait, tackle, beverages, and more. Our tackle shop, headed by John, is certainly one of the best. For freshwater tackle, nothing beats East County Bait and Tackle. These guys have the best rods and reels and the hottest lures and live bait. Our newest shop is Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, with a great both fresh and saltwater tackle right in the heart of Lemon Grove. ECBT is at the end of the 67 freeway on Mapleview and Lakeside. Lemon Grove Bait and Tackle, 94 to Broadway in Lemon Grove, and Dana Landing is next to the Dana Lawn Tramp in Mission Bay. Check out danalanding.com for more details.
Hey, it's time to talk about great gear from Shimano. And, since Corey's here, you got to talk about Tranks, right? Your favorite reel. Is there ever been a bass style reel or a level line reel created like a Tranks?
No, there hasn't. No, the power behind them, just the cranking power, everything about it. I mean, the 150, the newest line in the line, the 150 is my favorite for El Salton.
You really like that one, huh?
Yeah,
but you can catch a saltwater bass on the 152. That's the thing about Tranks. It's powerful.
The cranking power is unbelievable. I used the 500 for the lingcod fishing up at Queen Charlotte, Haida.
Yeah, it's the Tranks 500, a great rockfish reel, because you don't have to worry about. You fill it full of Power Pro Max Quattro, and you don't have to worry about the level wind. You just drop and wind, and it has plenty of capacity there.
The other thing I did is I filled it with 65 Max Quattro.
Right, exactly. Yes. Yeah, that's the best. So check it out, the Tranks lineup of reels at your local Shimano dealer.
Hello, this is Captain Mike Totter from Searcher Sport Fishing. Alongside my colleague, Chef Josh Evans, and our dedicated team, we invite you to join us aboard the Searcher. Our fishing trips range from 1.5 to 8 days, available May through November, and include charter options. We're committed to upholding a legacy of top-notch customer service, delicious food, and a friendly and talented crew. Book your fishing adventure online at searchersportfishing.com or call Rachel at 619-226-2403. That's searchersportfishing.com. We look forward to welcoming you aboard.
Give your boat the love it deserves and install a custom Sea Deck kit from Blue Seas Fabrication. Blue Seas is the West Coast's only certified Sea Deck fabricator and installer. Sea Deck upgrades the look and feel of any boat, old or new. Sea Deck non-skid decking adds comfort, convenience, safety, and value. Let the experts from Blue Seas Fabrication custom fit your deck, bridge, and interiors with stylish, durable, stain-resistant, and easy-to-clean Sea Deck. Check BlueSeasFabrication.com and enhance your fishing experience.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and it's so awesome having Eric Warden here and Craig Schumann.
Yeah, and thank both of you for taking the
know.
time to do this. I know you guys work really hard, and it's just a pleasure to get. I mean, we've already had such. I don't know about you, Corey. I've already learned two very important things. Number one, that I can bring a black sea bass back from Mexico. Number two is that I have to put the whole skin patch when I come back from a groundfish. And those are two super important things for people. And so that being said, if you're coming back from Mexico with rockfish, that same skin patch applies.
Yeah, so our rules will apply for any filleting or skin patch regulations if you're bringing it into California.
Is cod considered a groundfish?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Hey, some great texts going on, some great phone calls. I have a great text here from Mark in Buena Park, and pretty interesting stuff. He says, great guys having it on the show. White sea bass limits. Is there going to be any changes in the limits of that fish? And that, I think, would be a good one for Craig, huh?
We don't have any plans to change the limits at this point. We are looking at the stock of white sea bass. It's been fluctuating over time. The fishery management plan that the fishery is managed under is over 20 years old. So that's something on the work plan. And so as we start spooling that up, we'll start getting fishermen engaged in that and making sure we're communicating and transparent in the data we're collecting, the updates to the stock assessments, and then any potential regulation changes. But those would be quite down the road.
You know, it's so interesting, Craig. I have to ask, because my whole world is calico bass. I love calicos. And one of the regulations that came, the changes that came about 10 years ago, was the size limit and
to 14 inches.
And regulation, only 5 fish from 10. I thought it was the most beautiful thing ever. Our late Don Hansen, God rest his soul, thought it was going to be the worst thing ever for sport fishing. But then the last couple of years, we've seen some of the most incredible calico fishing we've seen for decades.
Yes.
And my question, Craig, how was that on the radar when it's like one of the least, I don't want to say respected fish, but it's kind of low on the totem pole as far as, when you look at our state fisheries, right?
Yes.
Like, how was that on the radar?
Great question. So we have within Marine Region, different teams looking at different fish. So one of our teams focuses exclusively on state managed finfish. So that's California halibut, white sea bass, our saltwater basses, the complex we call them. So that's calico bass, barred sand bass, and spotted bay bass. And it was about 10 years or so ago, we started seeing some declines, primarily in barred sand bass. Raised some concerns. So we went through a real extensive public process, and that's what resulted in that reduction in the overall bag limit and the increase in size. We've seen a great rebound of calicos. Guys are getting a lot bigger fish, guys and gals, getting bigger fish. The fishery's doing well. We still have some questions about the sand bass fishery. So, kudos to Ken and his folks. We formed a work group, and we're starting to look at the data to try to figure out, what is the status of that stock? If you look historically, there was a lot of fish out there. There's real big spawning aggregations that some folks might remember. We're not seeing those right now. So we're trying to get information from the fleet, those guys that have been fishing out there for 50 years, to try to inform some of our more recent scientific observations and figure out what, if anything, we need to do with barred sand bass right now.
Gotcha.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of complications. I just want to go back to white sea bass for just a second. And Craig and I have had this discussion before. Is the spawning patterns of white sea bass have changed quite a bit since those laws were developed 20 years ago, and it seems like they're more in the spawn when the limit's 3, allowing commercial guys to take an unlimited number of sea bass. How have you seen that impact the resource of the sea bass? Is it hurting it?
That's what we're starting to look at right now, is what is the status of the stock. Our oceans are changing, and so that's something we're seeing. We had that warm water blob, or the big warm water event in 2014, 2015. We're still reeling from that in Northern California. And so we're seeing things we haven't seen ever, or we haven't seen for a long time. So we're trying to tease out which of these trends are actual long-term trends, which these are kind of one-time anomalies based on abnormal ocean conditions. But those are the types of things that our scientists are looking at.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I mean, changing the limit from 1 to 3 for recreational anglers is not that big a deal. But when you change it to 3, correct me if I'm wrong, the commercial guys can take an unlimited number, right?
Correct.
Yeah, up to a certain poundage, I guess, or quota. No, there's no quota at all. And so when these sea bass are on their spawning aggregation, it's basically it's a major slaughter. I'm sure you've seen quite a deck load of sea bass when in your patrol when you stop a commercial guy when they're biting.
It's the gillnet guys will get it a little bit more. But I mean, I haven't seen, massive loads.
Yeah.
It's for purse seiners are prohibited to be possessed on purse seine vessels.
Yeah.
So they're not getting them. You see a lot of rod and reel commercial guys that are getting them, but they're getting them, per, individually per
rod and reel.
just rod and reel.
Right.
So, the commercial guys are there, and there's as Craig pointed out, you got to look at the impacts from both sides, recreational and
Sure.
commercial.
It's a difficult job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what, go ahead.
The gillnet guys have been severely restricted over time. And so just a couple months ago, we had a regulatory package before the Fish and Game Commission, and we added a soak limit to them, some gear marking requirements. We're going to be doing some better data collection. So we're working real closely with that sector as well. And there's really only a handful of them left.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's jump into the phones, Corey.
Let's do it. How about Mo? Mo calling from Vista. Good morning. Appreciate you joining us on Let's Talk Hookup, Mo.
Yeah, good morning, guys. The question was, when you come back from Mexico fishing the bay side, what regulations or what do we need to bring the fish back home? Is there any?
Say that again, Mo, as far as bringing fish back.
Okay, you fish down Baja de Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah.
You're bringing your yellowtail back.
Yes.
Is there a restriction or anything?
So when he's approaching the border, what
by vehicle?
Yeah, by vehicle.
Yeah,
what would be the proper?
Pretty much the same rules. You can't bring anything that's expressly prohibited in California. You have to have your importation for declaration at or immediately prior to the time of entry, and you need to make sure that the fish were taken legally while you were down there. So same rules apply as vehicle by boat.
Yeah, and if you take rockfish, the skin has to be on.
Yes, I mean if you're not bringing them back whole and you're coming back fillets, if they're filleted, the full skin has to be on the rockfish.
Yeah, all right. Good stuff.
A lot to remember.
Great. I mean, this is a complicated job you have, Eric. There's
so
a lot going on.
It's so awesome that he's joining us.
Yes.
Like we said, he doesn't have to, but he's doing it as a public service.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Bo. You have a great text, huh?
I do. I have one here. It says, good morning, guys. Very informative show. What interactive map app could you recommend to keep us sure that we are fishing in the right places with all the regulation changes? And thank you. That's from Kenny in San Diego.
Good question.
It is.
I'll let Craig talk about our mobile fishing regs map.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do a search for CDFW ocean fishing, that should get you to the right spot. Or also wildlife.ca.gov/fishing/ocean. That takes you to our sport fishing page where we've got a static map. You can look at different parts of the state and see what's open, what's closed. And then there's links to our ocean sport fishing map, which will, that's a website that you can access on your mobile device. It's got geolocation. You can turn on the GPS function. It'll show you where you are. Then you click on that and it'll tell you what's happening. As I said, the only downside of that tool right now is you have to be in cell service range. So like when I'm out fishing on the backside of Santa Rosa Island, I'm not getting cell service out there. So I got to remember what we're doing to make sure my buddies are staying compliant.
So there's that's not the same app as Fish Legal, right?
Now, Fish Legal is a separate third-party app.
Okay.
That hopefully, presumably shares the same information. We can't vouch for it. We don't check it to make sure it's updated when we make changes. But I've heard pretty good things about that. Some of the other products that are out there.
Yeah, I've used that, and it actually shows you when you're in cell range the actual location of where you are in relationship to the MPA or MLP.
Exactly. Yeah. The MPAs are the other piece.
Yeah, for sure. All right, very good.
All right.
Good question.
It is a really good question. We're going to be right back on Let's Talk Hookup. More from Eric Cord, Ken Franke, and Craig Schumann when we return, and we're going to have the fish reports coming up too when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hey everyone, James Holst here with Norsk Lithium, the official battery partner of Let's Talk Hookup. Here at Norsk Lithium, we have two goals that drive who we are and what we do. First is to make the highest quality, longest lasting lithium batteries available with a complete lineup of batteries that include 12, 24, 36 volt and starting batteries. Second, in addition to offering a 10-year warranty on all Norsk Lithium marine batteries, we provide amazing customer service before and after the sale. Check us out online at norsklithium.com. That's NORSK lithium.com, or call us at 831-232-9063. Or to see Norsk Lithium batteries in person, stop by the Trolling Motor Doctor in Lakewood or Anglers Marine in Anaheim and see why Norsk Lithium batteries should be in your boat.
No matter where the adventure takes you, we've got you powered. Norsk Lithium.
Great fishing is what Seaforth Sports Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limits, Elgato Doe, Pride, Polaris Supreme, Tribute, Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea-Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or schedule, check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
This is Captain Tim Ekstrom from the long-range vessel Royal Star. With my partners Randy Toussaint and Brian Sims, we have set the bar for the long-range fishing experience. Spring 8-day, summer 5-day, or fly-down, fly-back 11-day winter trip, we deliver the highest quality long-range voyage you will find. From our premium RSW fish storage to our top-of-the-line chefs and crew, Royal Star distinguishes itself from all others. Want to grab a spot on the Royal Star? Check us out at royalstarsportfishing.com or call Tracy at 619-224-4764.
Captain Jamie Tennis from Season Sport Fishing here. For the past few seasons, a dart-style metal jig has come into play in a big way for tuna offshore or even rockfish down deep. AFCO's crossbreed jig has quickly become the go-to for many since it came onto the market. AFCO's crossbreed jig is good to go right out of the package with a 4X treble hook, heavy-duty split rings, West Coast colors, and sizes 60 gram to 120 gram. Pick one up today at your local tackle store or learn more on AFCO.com.
Inside information is everything when it comes to catching fish in Southern California. You need a code group to connect with what's happening on the water. FishDope.com is your code group. Inside information available at your fingertips 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and burn less fuel. FishDope.com is the only fish finding service with a spotter plane, along with a crew of top anglers on the water almost every day that report actual locations and catches. They become your code group. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Catine, 365 days a year. FishDope.com has online planning tools, temperature and chlorophyll charts, hot bite icons, and more. Take it from me, if you don't have FishDope.com, you're not part of the in-the-know crowd. Membership is affordable and good for an entire year. Plus, use the special code and save $30 on a new FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
Now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. Get ready for more of the best fishing information and the hottest tips on improving your angling skills. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And now, Southern California's sports fishing voice, the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Let's Talk Hookup, right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, Sports Grid Radio Network, YouTube, Facebook Live, and 1090 AM, of course.
the
Yeah,
list is
we're
long.
everywhere, right? And of course, soon to be on the also on channel 159 during the off football season on Sirius. So that's kind of cool, exciting stuff.
Cool stuff.
Great show this morning. Eric Cord, Craig Schumann from the Department of Fish and Wildlife, and Ken Franke, we call him our guardian angel here, watching over us from Sport Fishing Association of California, and giving away a great prize this morning. Thanks to our friends at Costa.
Awesome sponsors,
Yeah.
Pete, and Costa being one of them, and a $300 gift certificate going to one lucky caller or a texter. We're going to have Eric Cord flip the coin over there to figure out who that's going to. But a $300 Costa certificate will, I mean, you can get a pair of glasses, get a sun shirt, and just shop away, right? You can do it that way. Give us a call, 213-432-1090, or you can text us via the app.
Yeah, JP, thank goodness, is standing by for us this morning. Thanks, JP, for being there in the code red thing that we had this morning.
Speaking of guardian angel.
Yeah, guardian angel himself. And one line opened. Talk to JP and then get in, talk to the guys. 213-432-1090. Time to find out what's biting, Corey.
And it's all about Summit Gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena. It's a place to fill up your car, truck, boat with all the lowest gas and diesel prices. Did you know Summit also has is a place to get the lowest prices on ice and snacks for your trip? 25 cents for your first 5-pound bag of ice, or $3.99 for 25 pounds, as much as you want. And that's half the price of others. And plus, with a 35-gallon fill-up, you still get your 100 pounds.
100 pounds.
100 pounds, man. Unbelievable. And Kirkland products, lower the store that makes them, and dozens of great snacks, and just 89 cents and so much more at Summit Gasoline. And for Let's Talk Hookup listeners, all the ice deals and just everything going on there. It's right at
great
the San Diego
place,
Sports
and the lowest prices on gas.
There it is.
You can't beat it, for sure. Hey, let's start with our private motor buddy, our fishdope.com reporter, Captain Mark Wish from Pacific Edge. Good morning, Mark.
Hey, good morning, Pete, Corey, Ken, Eric, Craig. You got a full house there, man.
Yeah, we
That's a
do,
great
for
show.
sure.
Good stuff.
So much good information, man. I'm learning stuff too about some of those regs. But for our last report of the summer season, I was really hoping to have just stacks of information coming in from guys catching all kinds of exotics everywhere. It didn't quite work out like that. Been kind of a strange season to say, but a couple notable catches I do want to mention. First off, I got to make a little shout out to my friends on the Chronic there. They wound up high boat in the Pesky Marlin tournament last weekend. The Peskies was without a doubt the funnest tournament of all times ever, but they had 4 fish right off Catalina, and congrats there, Willie and Caprice and the rest of the crew there. Good job, you guys.
So let me ask you this. When they bagel the fish, which is part of the Peskies thing, they have to put a bagel on the bill. Would that be a violation?
Oh, to put a bagel on a fish?
We're asking the warden right here. Eric Cord.
Sounds like you're getting me involved in things I shouldn't be involved in.
It's just kind of a crazy thing. That's one of the deals, right, Mark? You got to put a bagel on a fish's nose and take a picture of it, right?
I've done many.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, over the years, some of the things you got to do to be actively participating in all the rules there. It's for an old traditionalist like myself, was kind of hard to get used to. But
yeah,
man, those guys have a good time, I'll tell you. But those, the Masters was the weekend before, and they just clobbered them. And the Peskies again last weekend, they had really good fishing. And then this weekend, we've got the War Heroes on Water, amazing event for the vets. It's just they've done an amazing job, thanks to Anthony Shea and all their work there. And really good timing because, we got some fish around and we got really nice weather for the next several days for those guys to get out and about. So hopefully they find a whole bunch of cool stuff. And then as to our local yellowfin population, again, it's been a very strange year. It looked like we were going to get some good fishing early on, and that kind of fizzled out. But I think we're getting like a little uptick in terms of biting fish. And it's no big volume, that's a certain sure fact. But we got scattered fish all the way from just right outside of Newport to down outside of Oceanside. There's a few open water jig strikes on halcos and daisy chains and the old standby cedar plugs. And of course, an old regular tuna feather will still catch one. But there's also some fish with the dolphins And a perfect example of that dolphin fishing, my friend Mike had a couple hours free on Thursday afternoon. He's got the boat in Dana Point now, so it's really easy to do this. So he jumps on the boat, runs out a few miles, finds that first spot of porpoise or dolphin about 5 miles. They had fish on them, but they wouldn't bite, so they didn't fool around with it. They just kept rolling. They'd run a little bit, get in the glasses, look around, run some more, and they got out toward the 267, and again, looking in the glasses, found a bird school at the very edge of vision, ran a couple miles to it, had time to get in 2 casts. They hooked one on a surface iron, one on a popper. By the time they got their fish in, it was over, gone, done. They never saw anything for the rest of the afternoon. So that's kind of the way it's going. The stuff, it's smaller spots of fish. They pop up for just a second. And if you're there and ready, you get a good shot at them. And if you're not, well, then you wind up with 0, 0, 0, which has been a very common story.
Yeah, this year. And
I was out the other day. It's just absolutely beautiful conditions. The water was 72, 73, lots of bait, lots of birds. And we saw, some porpoise schools. This was Sunday. And but just nothing, just 0, 0, 0. This is crazy. So
yeah,
hopefully it continues to develop a little bit. A lot of times late September is really good fishing on that local tuna fish. And just another little tidbit for you guys want some exotics close to home, big ones. The thresher shark population up inside the federal breakwater there, that makes the Long Beach, San Pedro Harbor. There's quite a bit of thrashers in there. Catch the mackerels by the bait barge, and slow troll the mackerel in the bird schools there on the anchovies. And there's been some really nice ones, not only just those smaller ones, but some great big ones in there if you want to pull on something worthy. So that's this week's report. Pete, I was really glad to hear you mention this white sea bass situation. I'd have more than a few words to say about that, of course. and the sand bass situation. I'm so glad that there's a little bit being done to help the populations on those fish. They were just literally wiped out, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Ken, you're going to put a plane up. Zach's going to put a plane up this week, and with the good weather, find some new stuff, right?
Well, we're going to take a look at whenever the weather pattern isn't ideal for us to get up an aircraft again. Yeah,
but try and find some new stuff, which we need. Yeah, for sure. Hey, I also want to mention while we're talking about marlin is the Gene Grimes Memorial 2024 ILTT Light Tackle Tournament. It's the oldest tournament in San Diego, and they actually bring back a tuna division now as well as the marlin division. A lot of money, $15,000 in prizes and stuff. So it's next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 29th through the 30th. At the Marlin Club, of course, of San Diego. $150 per angler entry, and early bird is $125, and they have a great raffle. So for more information, just give a call the Marlin Club, or call Marcus Hale at 619-551-6521. And Mark, fishdope.com, of course, keeps us tabs on everything that we know. $30 off a new membership to fishdope.com using the code Hookup Now, or lowercase, no space, Hookup Now is your $30 code. And Mark, how do we find you?
Well, Pete, we're in Huntington Beach. We're on the corner of Bolsa Chica and Edinger. And the phone at the store is 714-840-4262. The website's PacificEdgeTackle.com. And, you mentioned that Gene Grimes tournament.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Gene Grimes, in addition to being one of the most extraordinary fishermen of all time, was also the most low-key, quiet, easygoing gentleman fisherman out here in our fleet. That guy was amazing. Anyway,
he's the Otani of marlin fishing. That guy.
Oh, I learned so much from Gene over the years. Not only talking with him a little here and there, but just watching how he fished marlin, being around him and watching him in the classes, and he taught me some really cool stuff. Let me tell you,
that's cool.
Extraordinary fishing.
Yeah, so nice to have that tournament to honor him for sure. Hey, Mark, great to hear from you, and we'll talk to you next Saturday.
You got it. We'll see you guys.
All right, appreciate that. Rosie's working today. She's running the border and
trading trips.
Yeah, and then so we're going to go to Marcos, right?
From C4 Sport Fishing to Marcos. think he's got a little bit to say about their half-day fishing there, man. It's been spectacular.
What's up, Marcos?
Good morning, guys. Well, I'm going to tell you about our half day, but while we're on the topic, I just want to point out that the Sea Watch, twice this week on their full day trips, caught a marlin.
Oh, wow.
The pictures are amazing.
Kind of out of nowhere, just a couple of striped marlin on those full day trips. And I'm not going to say that's repeatable, but hey, they've done it twice in the last 3 days. So pretty good odds that they might see another one there.
Yeah, they're around.
Expectations are going up for them. But beyond that, half day, like Corey said there, I mean, that was the trip this week. Lots of yellowtail on those half days, mostly a morning bite there. They had 19 on Wednesday. They had 27 on Thursday.
Man.
Then yesterday it was back to just bonita and calico bass. So, a little drop off there. But not only were there some good yellowtail in there, there's some good sized yellowtail in there. So definitely keep an eye on that. They're going to keep looking for those guys. And if they cooperate, they'll keep fishing for them. Like I said, even beyond that yellowtail, a lot of bonita, calico bass, nice mix of bottom fish. I think they had a sculpin on one of the trips this week, or a halibut, on one of the trips this week. So good fishing on those half days. Full days a little tougher. They've been fishing offshore there, looking around. Gave it a go. A little bit of yellowtail, occasional bluefin. Like I said, a couple of random marlin in there. But next week they're going to be going back down to the islands, take a look around there and see what's available. So as I talk about, especially at this time of the year, get your passports. We're going to keep telling you guys to do that because it just opens up options to you when the fishing is not great offshore. And we talk about this too. Fishing has not always been great offshore for the full days. That's a fairly recent development where they can go out and look for those bluefin, yellowfin, and the like. But even when that's not there, there's some great fishing in the islands, so keep an eye out for that. The full day, the 1 days and longer, similar fishing, bluefin, yellowtail, occasional yellowfin in the mix on some of these trips. So all around good fishing. We've had some great weather. It's not that 100-degree weather, but it's really nice, and that 60 to 80s, perfect San Diego weather there. So check the website, seaforthlanding.com. Got all our trips up there. Those half days, if you want a shot at some calico bass, bonita, or maybe some yellowtail. The full day trips, we have the 1 days and longer trips, lots of options up there. Give us a call at the office, 619-224-3383. We're happy to help you guys out, get you a trip, and get you out there fishing because it's time of year where fishing is exceptionally good in September, October.
And some of those weekday trips, Marcos, super light loads on those half day with those yellows, man. If that's something you want to do with a light load, and you almost might want to make a reservation. I saw like 9 people or something on one of those trips, and maybe with 7 they might not have went, right?
Yeah, you're right there. But also sometimes you may see 30 open spots, and you get down here and we've had 30 walkouts because they heard about the yellowtail.
Exactly. Yeah,
for sure.
And then the last tip I have, MC swim baits.
There you go. Now you're talking.
MC swim bait.
And Seaforth Tackle Shop has a full collection of them, right?
Checks in the mail.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Good job, Marcos.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. We'll talk to you next Saturday. And that wraps up our catch report today.
And the catch report is sponsored by Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you get your premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to book your reservations and for your long-range trips. With more team members, Fisherman's Processing stays far ahead of the rest. More same-day capacity and the finest customer service. Stop by their location in Old Town on Taylor Street, or check them out at fishermansprocessing.com and make your reservations today.
Yeah, and I will say this about the reservations with Fisherman's Processing is if you have a charter, you can't make just one reservation. Every person on your charter has to make a reservation for fish processing. You can't come in and go, hey, I got a reservation for 20 guys on the boat. No, you don't. You have a reservation for one person to have the fish
and the same goes if you and another buddy's going. Well,
right.
The two of you have
both
to
of you have to make that reservation. So very, very important. Hey, Tim in San Diego writes, good morning. He's in Sierra Mesa, has the lobster season starting at 6 p.m. on Friday. Can we set up unbaited nets? Can we set unbaited nets before 6 p.m. opening night?
No, so there's a relatively newer regulation that does not allow you to deploy your hoop nets for 24 hours prior to the opening of the lobster season.
No gear in the water at all till 6 p.m.
Till 6 p.m. Friday.
6:01.
Correct. Yeah, you can't save your spot. It's it was a bit of it could be a little bit of a rodeo out there when you have that situation going on. So it's
good.
I'm glad. It's important to don't put those nets in until 6 p.m.
How about
so if you put your net in at 5 o'clock to protect your spot, you're in violation.
Correct.
Yeah, and you guys will cite.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And you'll be out there in force, I guarantee you, on Friday night.
We will be. That's a big night for us.
Yeah, it's a big night. Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like a nightmare, man.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
All right. Good question, though, Tim. Thanks for clarifying that, because
Right.
it used to be you could kind of protect your territory there.
Yeah. So people would, they would set their nets and say they were fishing for crab.
Yeah.
Right before the lobster season started, they weren't interested in crab.
Yeah.
Up until that day. So we would have to deal with that, and this law, keeps that from happening.
So whether you're fishing for crab or not, you cannot set a net.
Correct.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
24 hours prior to the opener.
24 hours prior to the opener. Now, if you're fishing for crab 24 hours before, you can.
Yep.
But 24 hours, that's a good regulation. I like
And
that.
over the years, the agency has done such a wonderful job for the sport angler, divers, or hoop netters, because before it opened the same day as commercial guys.
Mm-hmm.
But the commercial guys were able to bait their traps the night before, but we couldn't get in the water or fish until midnight, right? So
since I started my career in
things have changed for the better.
Yeah. They always, as far as I remember from 98, there's always been a little bit of a jump start the Saturday preceding the first Wednesday in October for the recreational opener. There's always been a few days of a jump for recreational, but before that time, if they started on the same, I'm not
same.
sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
I guess I'm an old guy, man. Because I remember clearly, and it was, what I'm saying is the agency's done great things for the sport angler.
Sure, they're trying.
In allowing that.
Well, and we used to start at midnight.
Yes.
And that was a mess, and people were getting hurt and people were dying. So we moved it to the following morning, which proved to be problematic as well. So then again, in consultation with the fleet, we moved it back to 6 p.m. on that Friday. So you can get off of work, you can go out, fish, hopefully get your limit, go out fishing the next day. And so you've got 5 days to sport fish before the commercial guys can get at it.
That's cool.
And believe me, we hear from the commercial guys every year.
Right.
And if you're diving, you are allowed to get in and look around. If you are diving prior to 6 p.m., you can't grab for any lobsters until 6. And we have all the officers on our boat. They're all on our dive team. They're all watermen. We will get in and
you'll get in the water
and look at it. If you're looking in the holes and you got your light, we're gonna watch you if we run into you.
But that's what's cool. You just mentioned your whole boat, all the guys or women are recreational. I mean, they love the resource, and the reason they get into what they're doing is they have a passion for being outdoors and enjoying the ocean, enjoying the field, enjoying whatever it might be. And so they love it as much as you do too.
Absolutely. All the officers are hunters and fishers. We love and enjoy the resources as much as anyone. And in fact, if I may do a plug here, if you are looking for that kind of career, if you love to hunt and fish, please look into being a game warden and wildlife officer, because those individuals tend to make the best game wardens and officers. Is if you have a passion for hunting, you already know the regs. You're kind of already, you're hitting the ground running coming to our department, because you're going to know the tricks of the trade, and you're going to know who's fishing where and who's hunting where. So always encourage those individuals to apply for a career with the department, whether you want to be a biologist or want to get more involved with the law enforcement. We love people that love the outdoors like we do.
Fishermen, hunters, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how do you do that?
We have a career opportunities website. Click on there, look for job opportunities.
Just Google career opportunity for California Fish and Wildlife.
Yes, yeah, we have a website that will direct you towards a career path, either being a fisheries biologist or a game warden, getting into our academy. We have recruitment officers that we can put you in touch with. We'll tell you how to kind of take those steps in trying to get into the academy and applications.
So we can kind of laugh, Eric Cord, because I looked into that when I was graduating from high school in 1988.
Yes.
Okay, I looked into it. It was $22,000 a year for a warden. Yeah,
Yes.
so laughable, right?
Yes.
I was like, no.
Yeah, but it's better today.
It's better today. The union does a pretty good job at trying to,
so there's actually a warden union.
There is a union, yes.
Wow.
So we're a part of a bigger group of state peace officers, and they do a pretty good job at representing those officers in Sacramento, and they try to get raises and benefits for the officers when they can.
Yeah.
But yes, the salary is much better than
Yeah,
20,000.
right? Yeah, and the other big thing, especially in today's world, is the benefits, the medical benefits and stuff like that. Those
retirement.
things are huge.
Yes, you're
Trust me, for young people, it may not sound like a big deal, but that's a huge, an old guy, man, you want those benefits.
Yes,
That's huge.
There's a retirement pension, there's medical benefits, and where you're lacking a little bit in some of the salary, you are getting that, especially in the pension department. Not all of us are great at saving and planning for retirement,
Right.
And the pension program does a really good job at making sure people are comfortable in their retirement.
It's a career.
Yes, it's a career.
That's cool. And so again, you just Google career opportunities in Department of Fish and Wildlife, and you'll be able to check
That'll
it out.
get you to
How
the
old do you have to be?
18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Great opportunity for sure. All right. Let's jump back in the phones. They're packed up. They want to talk to these guys.
Let's do it. How about Robert? Robert calling from Canyon Country. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, guys. Great show as always. Since it's so close to lobster season, I have questions about where you can go. I've heard that you can be inside of Long Beach Harbor, but then when you go to Marina del Rey, they want you outside the break wall, and when you're in Ventura, they want you nowhere near the break wall. What's the deal?
Yeah, so for that, you're going to be better to check with the local harbor authorities if they have a particular municipal code that where they don't want you to fish. They're going to let you know. But inside Long Beach Harbor, LA Harbor, you're pretty good to go as far as I remember. I know you want to stay out of the shipping channels and shipping lanes. You're not going to want to be throwing your hoops right there in front of Angel's Gate, because there will be issues. But if for the particular marinas and harbors, I would just check with the local harbor PD just to be sure.
And it all really comes down to navigational hazard. I mean, that's really
it.
Bottom line, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Marina del Rey on a boat, and I can tell you that that's not a very wide passage going in and out, either the one way or the other. So I can imagine during the lobster season, it got to be a real challenge trying to navigate the hoops, and so that's probably why they don't allow it. Yeah, for sure. And maybe Ventura too, because that's pretty narrow. Yeah, so all about navigation, right, Ken?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, as a former harbor patrolman would know that, right?
There's nothing like wrapping one of those up in your propeller.
Yeah, it's not good.
No,
it's not good.
The rope would be one thing, but what comes up on the other end as you wind it up is not a good deal.
Not at all.
No. Yeah, not at all. This is, Craig, you're going to laugh at this one, but this is a factor. But I have to read this because it's kind of funny. Greg says, "Morning, boys. Mr. Franke, will the tree huggers ever open up diving north? Mel, Mike, and me want to do some abbing." So abalone, Craig, it's been shut down for a long time. I know you, Eric, as a diver. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was plucking abs off the islands and here along Point Loma and everywhere else. Are we ever going to see into season for abalone again?
I hope so, but it's not going to be anytime soon. We're starting to see recovery here in Southern California, which is great, but nowhere near the numbers that we used to see. Northern California, we had a trophy red abalone fishery. It was, one of those fisheries where you could go out there as a average diver and get your limit. Unfortunately, with that marine heat wave that came in that I referenced earlier in 2014, we had this cascade of events where we had warm water, we had kelp die-off, we had a sea star wasting disease that took out all of the sunflower stars, and we had explosion of purple urchins that ate all of the kelp.
Ooh.
And so we've seen massive die-offs of abalone. They're in little pockets where there's still kelp. They just can't sustain harvest right now. So we have shifted gears from what was an update to the red abalone fishery management plan to unfortunately turning that into a recovery plan. And we're doing everything we can to try to figure out how do we get the kelp back, how do we get that ecosystem back in balance, and how do we open up that red abalone fishery.
Yeah, what a sad deal,
Yeah,
right?
that
I mean,
is a
that's
sad deal.
a tragedy for sure. But when you look at the management and what the Department of Fish and Wildlife and Craig and Eric Cord, I mean, having our lobster fishery, like, how does it maintain such a healthy stock? And it really is. I mean, it's
because of these guys, because they do such a great job of managing it.
Yes.
Last year, we had the largest totals we've seen in quite some time. We had the largest commercial total ever, and we had the highest number of lobsters ever reported on report cards. And that's only with a 48% report card return rate.
Wow.
So putting a plug in for guys, go out there, get your report cards early. We hear the horror stories. You went to Big Five at 5 o'clock and, right before the season opener, and they ran out of paper and you can't go. So get your report card early and then make sure you return it. We need that information. And you avoid the non-return fee. I think it's up to $22, $23 now.
Right.
That's a couple gallons of gas in the boat. We get that money back, or you get that money back in your pocket. But the lobster fishery is doing great. The lobster population is doing great. The size limit, when we went and looked at that several years ago, those folks that put that together 50 years ago, turns out they had the perfect size limit for this species. So ocean conditions have been good for lobster. I think the MPAs are probably helping, and we're seeing really good things with that fishery right now.
That's great. And Ken, that's because you guys have been doing such a great job with managing that resource. Eric, let's talk about violations. How much? You get caught with a short lobster, what's that ticket?
Every jurisdiction is going to be different. Each county, has their own kind of court system. Most of these citations or infractions are going to go to traffic court, and each traffic court has their specific bail amount or fine for each violation. About on average, it's going to be, for a short lobster, maybe a couple $100, but again, it's going to vary from court.
It could be higher than that.
Could be higher than that.
Yeah. What about over limits?
Over limits, it's going to depend on how gross. If you are one lobster over the limit, then the fine's probably going to be a little bit less. If you have double or triple over limits, that's probably going to get filed as a misdemeanor, and you're looking at up to 1,000 in fines.
Have you seen that before? I mean, do you have any crazy stories that you can share, like a stupid criminal?
Yeah.
Just something a listener would want to just appreciate you for what you do for your job.
Yeah, no, over the years we've had some really aggressive individuals, unfortunately.
Aggressive, we'll call it.
Yeah.
I call it dumb, but
yeah, and probably the worst individuals are the ones that decide, they're obviously taking way more than they could ever consume. They're selling it, on the side in the black market, behind closed doors at restaurants to friends and neighbors. And we had one individual where he was very tough to catch. We had our special operations unit come down and we watched this guy for weeks, and he was going fishing, or he's going diving in La Jolla in the MPA, and he was pretty smart about it. He would when he came out of the water, he would put his sack of lobsters, stuff it in some rocks. We'll go change, go to his car, have nothing in his hand in case he was checked. And then, he would drive off and then wait to see if he was going to get checked. And then we'll come back around, go back to the site where he stuffed his sack, and then grabbed his sack, took the lobsters home, processed everything, and then went around to local restaurants and selling the lobsters, under the table. And he was trying to make a living at it. And for those individuals, when, if they're continuing to do it, if they're continuing to make a business out of it, we will catch you. We have some really great officers, some really great technology to use. If someone's being, that egregious about it,
you're going to get.
So did that guy go to jail?
Yes. He did go to jail.
Good. He deserves to go to jail.
He was allowed. He went to jail at night. Was allowed to go to his job in the daytime. So he went to work, and then when he went home, he went to jail and slept in jail overnight. So
wow.
And a lot of fines.
Yeah. And being watched constantly. He never get away with anything like that again.
I'm pretty sure he never went fishing again after that.
And maybe no license.
So yeah, that's also another avenue that we can take for repeat offenders or really gross one-time offenders, whether you're commercial or recreational. We have an administrative action process through the Fish and Game Commission where if you're a repeat offender or really gross offender, we can pull your license, either a suspension for a few years or a lifetime revocation if you're a really bad actor.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Hey, we're going to be back. More good stories and all this stuff with Eric Cord, Craig Schumann, and Ken Franke when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hey, this is Captain Benny Florentino, owner-operator of Coastal Charters. Just want to announce that I'll be running the Camus 26 hybrid boat from West Coast Marine in boat features. The boat features a Michael Peters stepped hull that'll give both myself and my guests a comfortable dry ride. West Coast Marine in Costa Mesa will be carrying the 26 hybrid, 28 hybrid, and also a 34 cat. Heck, they even have some great looking bass boats. But if you have any other questions, feel free to call Nick Kelly or Kyle Mesa at West Coast Marine in Costa Mesa, and we'll see you on the water.
Take it from Captain Benny Florentino. West Coast Marine in Costa Mesa is your source for Camus boats, as well as Parker boats, Yamaha outboards, and now Mercury outboards. Sales and service, the finest you can find. Go see Nick and the guys at West Coast Marine on Newport Boulevard in Costa Mesa, or check westcoastmarine.com.
Don't be the last one to get one, especially now. The new Brutus Pacific Pro from Ace Line Hauler. You can catch more lobster and pull deeper with the Ace Line Hauler, so you can get those bugs in the boat. Easy to store and low power draw. The Ace Line Hauler is the highest quality and certainly the best on the market. Just ask a friend that has one. Get the new Brutus Pacific Pro by Ace Line Hauler today. Buy now at better fishing stores near you.
Hi, this is Christy Wheeler with Dawson and Associates Insurance, your full-service agency specializing in boat insurance, including charter, commercial, and personal use boats, business insurance, and travel insurance. We work hard to get you the most coverage for the best prices and guarantee the lowest rates available on all the travel plans we offer. So give us a call today at Dawson and Associates Insurance at 619-460-5615 for a free quote today.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know, CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
24 years ago, I visited this amazing place called Hawaii Archipelago. I just could not get enough of these amazing islands, natural beauty, friendly people, and phenomenal fishing. I knew I had to spend more time there. Moving forward to today, here I am, a fishing lodge owner. Hi, this is Valerie Hilbrich from Queen Charlotte Safaris in beautiful Hawaii Islands, British Columbia, Canada. We are a boutique lodge just steps from the Sanskrit Harbor, offering a truly unique fishing adventure. Our fishing is world class. You will fish for king salmon, halibut, lingcod, and much more. Our fishing grounds are untouched, unspoiled, and surrounded by stunning scenery. We are dedicated to making your adventure an experience that will be a lifetime of memories. We will welcome you as friends, and you will leave as part of the Queen Charlotte Safaris family. You will come for the fishing, and you'll come back for the memories. We are booking now. Please give me a call at 1-877-815-2892, or check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or our website, qcsafaris.com.
Oh, hearing Valerie's voice right there.
Yeah.
Makes me dream. Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk
And
Hookup.
Valerie's going to be on the show here in a couple weeks. So
Can't wait,
looking
man.
forward to that.
Wonderful person.
Oh yeah. She's just an amazing lady and runs such a wonderful operation. She's gonna have some exciting stuff to announce here too when she's on the show.
When is she going to be on?
I believe it's the beginning of October, like
Okay.
October 4th or something like that.
Can't
Yeah,
wait.
it's right at the beginning of October.
That'll be a fun
first Sunday in October.
But for today, I have an Eric Cord
Yeah.
and Craig Schumann and Ken Franke. You want to join us, 213-432-1090. We have one open line.
Yeah.
Or you can text us via the app.
So we were talking lobster, and tomorrow on Let's Talk Hookup, Steve and Pablo are going to be here talking lobster. Promar and Pablo runs a fishing boat that specializes in lobster hooping and stuff like that. So a lot of good tips on lobstering tomorrow on Let's Talk Hookup 7 to 9
That'll be
a.m.
fun.
So you definitely want to tune in
We're
for
getting
that.
the legal end of it today.
Yeah, we are. Hey, we are talking about careers in Department of Fish and Wildlife, becoming a warden. And one of the things we were talking about in the break was retirement. And you've retired at 50. You're going to retire at 53. And this is with full pensions and everything like that. I'm 69. I'm still working, right? And so this is, and I mean, I know a lot of firemen and police officers and wardens and stuff that are retired and living the good life in their 50s, right? This is one of the huge advantage of becoming a warden is that retirement thing, right?
I agree. The retirement system is for CalPERS. It's a very good system. You know, you're not paying into Social Security. You're into the CalPERS pension system. Really good people over there. Really good retirement system. And you know, it's probably the most important message that I can give to young officers is stay healthy and stay fit. Stay in shape, because when you do retire, lucky enough in your 50s, you know, you want to be healthy and you want to enjoy that time that you have.
Absolutely.
So important to stay fit. Officer wellness is a huge importance for our department, our chief of patrol.
Physical and mental.
Yeah. We do have a wellness captain in charge of our wellness program. You know, bringing up mental health, especially Corey, that is a major concern for all law enforcement is, you know, because our first responders see some pretty serious things, and you want to make sure that not only you're staying physically fit, but your mental well health is very important, especially when you get into your retirement.
That's cool. Yeah. And so you've got your pensions, and then what about medical? You've got medical for life too, right?
Yes, your medical will be covered once you are vested 20 years into the state system. A good portion of your medical will be covered.
And trust me,
your insurance.
Yeah, trust me, you young people, that's really important, especially for the future.
It is.
Right?
When I graduated from high school, I mentioned in 1988, and looking at the agency of the Department of Fish and Wildlife, it wasn't attractive. You know, I mean, and look
now.
Well, look what I did. I went on a debate boat for 12 years.
Right.
And look where I'm at today.
Yeah.
I would die to have benefits.
And you like me are going to work for like ever.
I'm
just
here,
part of
right?
the deal.
My hair can't. I guess I could get whiter.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Hey, a great text from Bill here in San Diego says, are any studies of pollution coming from Mexico into U.S. waters affecting fish, increased illness, contamination, etc.? And is DFW doing anything about it? That's a Craig question, I think.
Yeah, so we at Fish and Wildlife aren't directly involved in those pollution studies, but we are working with our colleagues at the Regional Water Quality Control Board, Coastal Commission, and other agencies to try to figure out, you know, what the impacts are and then what we can do about it at the state level. It gets challenging when you start talking about, you know, international relations and you say you've got the state versus the feds. It's certainly on the radar. You know, we're at Fish and Wildlife more focused on what we have jurisdiction and authority over, but certainly keeping track of that.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so just pay attention to that. Hey, Mike is on the Tribute. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mike. Doing good, man. We want to hear a killer report.
You know, we're out here, well, out west, pretty much where everything's been for the last several months. We're picking away here at some bluefin. We have a really unique charter group on here. It's a memorial for a friend of mine, Don Gardner. His kids, grandkids are on the boat. One of my buddies, Jeff Gardner, just gaffed a nice bluefin for his son. So we got 6 on the boat. I think we got 4 or 5 going, and a lot of guys from Ventura County, Camarillo, that made this trip. And off to a really good start. 35 to 50 pound fish. They're a little harder to land than they should be.
Right. And daytime fish too. I mean, that's a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, fishing for the guys that were out here yesterday, that's pretty good. And it's off to a good start. I think everybody out here is scratching away. Some guys have had better mornings. There's been a little bit of that smaller grade 20, 25 pound bluefin mixed in. And so far, everything we've got, I think it's probably 35 to 50, 55 pounds. So they're good grade fish. Watching couple guys pulling them up here in the bow, and it's just a neat charter. A bunch of old friends, guys that I've known for decades, except for they were all the drunk ones last night, and I had to work.
But the fish are biting, right?
They are. I'd say everybody out here is picking away, if not doing pretty well. It sounds like it's just guys are having a harder time landing them on 25 and 30 pound than they should.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, so what's the schedule for you fishing? And what's your what do you
Tuesday
think?
night, we have an overnight trip that's got some room on it. Just a couple of trips here in September and then October. A lot of room on a lot of trips. We've talked about this, I don't know how many times, but our best tuna fishing for the last several years, including yellowfin, has been October through December. And there has been some yellowfin caught here just recently. It seems like they're taking their sweet time getting up here, but a lot of 70-degree water around. There's been a few really nice marlin. I'm sure you guys saw that thing caught on the sea watch yesterday. It's in 10 fathoms of water or something at the Coronado. It's an absolute trophy. This guy got it on 40 pound.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, Marcos was talking about it earlier. Yeah, crazy.
Well, you got to check out the pictures. It's on the Seaforth Landing Instagram page, and I'm sure Facebook as well. But it's I mean, for a local marlin on 40 pound, it's a beast.
Yeah, that is. Well, thanks, Mike. Nice to hear from you from the Tribute. Of course, seaforthlanding.com. They can book the trips and find you on Tribute, right?
Yep, we'll get some of our pictures up from this morning's bluefin action. And like I said, there's a lot of family on here, a lot of kids, a lot of first-time bluefins. So, I mean, it's already a blast. And I think we got 4 or 5 hanging there right now.
Wow.
Oh, sounds like a lot of fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Daytime, a little bit
They're
of
all
light
looking at me
line.
and asking why I'm not down there helping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Well, we appreciate your live reports and thank you. And anyone who wants to book that is seaforthlanding.com.
Seaforthlanding.com or 619-224-3383. We'll check back with you guys tomorrow.
Great. Appreciate that. Thanks a lot for the call this morning. Let's jump back on the phones, Corey.
Let's do it. How about Jim from National City? Good morning, Jim.
The Jim from National City. Hey, Jim.
I hope I don't get myself in trouble here this morning.
Oh, you're already in trouble.
Corey, yeah, Corey and Pete, good morning. Ken Franke, glad to hear he's around. And I'd like to thank the guys from the Fish and Wildlife, Eric and Greg, for giving their time today for the show. But my beef today, my deal today is closures. And I don't be the first one to admit I don't have all the facts on these closures, but I got Pete there and Corey and Ken Franke. They probably can help me along. But my issue seems to be that these closures come about, and for whatever reason, I'm wondering about the implement of the Fish and Wildlife. Are you giving written reports on these closures before they happen, or is your job strictly to enforce the law once they're already passed? Because these things, we're up against a very wealthy environmental group. We hear about the one from Hollywood, but throughout California, throughout the United States. And these issues come down the pipeline at us at the CCA, which I am a member of, and gets kind of shoved down our throat. Now they're kind of trying to implement one off of Point Loma. So like I'm asking, is the Fish and Wildlife, I know there's bias on all sides of this issue. And of course, I'm on the fisherman's side, but is the Fish and Wildlife, are you guys implementing just the law, or are you sending reports in on these closures? And the ones that are already there, are they ever going to come back for review for opening them up again?
That all sounds like kind of like a Ken Franke question.
I actually think it's a Craig question.
Okay, Craig.
We'll let Craig start.
Yeah, I'll take this one. Thanks for the question. So I assume you're talking about the marine protected areas that were implemented under the Marine Life Protection Act. And so I guess working backwards, yes, we do actively track the existing marine protected areas. 2 years ago, we released a decadal management review that evaluated the status of the statewide MPA network. And basically what we found is that it seems to be working pretty well. Overall, things are working well. Sure, there's some areas for improvement in terms of outreach and some things we can do. There was a push from both consumptive and non-consumptive users to have a petition process through the Fish and Game Commission, where individuals submitted petitions for regulatory change, changing lines, making areas bigger, allowing for certain types of fishing within marine protected areas. So we're in the middle of that process now, and we absolutely, on the Marine Region side, working with enforcement, working with the colleagues on both sides of the aisle, looking at evaluating those petitions using best available science where we have it, going out and collecting the data where we don't. And so that's an ongoing process through the Fish and Game Commission, who actually has the decision-making authority there.
And the one thing you said that caught my ear was something that we've heard from Wayne is the best available science, and which can be really a loaded deal, because it can be used against a sport individual as much as we think it could help us. Probably used more against us. Yeah.
Complicated issue.
Yeah.
Corey, you have a great text?
I do, absolutely. And this is a quick question for Eric Cord. He says, I often fish on my boat in the bay with my wife. She has no interest in fishing and goes along and to get a tan. Every once in a while, I've caught a worthy halibut and I've wanted the net. Is it permissible for my wife to net the fish if she does not have a fishing license? And
Good
that comes
question.
From Brian in San Diego.
No.
Because she's in the act
So
of
because she
fishing.
cannot participate. She can be on the boat,
Yes.
but not participate.
Yeah, if you're grabbing fishing gear, whether it's a net or to help out with landing the fish in any way, you need a fishing license.
It's in the act of fishing, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there are things like if you're helping out your kid and you don't have a license, and you want to help your kid fishing like from shoreline, you can kind of help them cast a little bit and help them get situated. But when that fish is on, you want your kid to reel it in, and if you don't have a license, you probably shouldn't be handling the rod.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah, Pete, and one thing I wanted to go back on what the last caller called in about, and just from the industry and we'll call it recreational fishing's perspective, we're going to be there. It is a process, like Craig said, but part of that process is we have an opportunity to speak. So we are going to be at the table. We are going to be at those meetings, and we're going to do our best to make sure there's a balanced approach based on science, and have hopefully a good, healthy process with a good outcome. So yeah, it's not like we're going to sit back and wait for things to get closed.
Yeah, interesting.
And that's why Ken Franke's here for the Sport Fleet, right?
Right,
Exactly.
right. Well, let's jump back on the phone.
Let's do it. How about Harry? Harry calling from La Jolla. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Harry.
My question relates to the fact that throw nets for bait collection are permitted north of Point Conception, but are not permitted south of the point. Why can't we use throw nets in San Diego area? And is there any possibility that the regulation will be changed to allow us in the south to use throw nets to catch bait?
Very interesting one, right? I always related that, Eric Cord, to surf smelt north of Conception, and we have grunion, which actually beach themselves. And I always wondered if the throw net legality was because of surf smelt versus grunion.
I'll let Craig take over
Yeah.
the question, but I know that regulation's been around for a long time,
And forever.
We enforce it as it is, but if anyone's interested in changing the regulation, there is a petition process that you can do through the Fish and Game Commission. And but as far as the history of that, I'll let Craig answer.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. And that we recently evaluated a petition to change that a couple of years ago, so I'm digging into my memory banks. But it was related to grunion, if I recall correctly, and then also concerns with lobster. There's always a few bad actors out there that ruin it for everyone, and so there's concerns about guys using throw nets and snagging lobsters with them is another area of concern, bringing up short lobsters and that sort of thing. If there's a big need for it, we can certainly revisit that and try to put some bounds on it. But I know we did look at it a couple years ago and decided that it was still not a good idea to use in Southern California.
But we have the Everingham brothers. We don't need throw nets, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's we can pull up and buy all the sardine you want.
We're not on the East Coast looking for our throw net bait,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. Thank goodness for them, for sure. Hey, interesting text here from Mark and Murrieta. Morning, guys. What would be the regulations for bringing fish and shellfish back from Mexico that we have purchased at a fish market, such as shrimp from San Felipe or lobster from Puerto Santo Tomas? It's a good question.
A receipt.
Yeah, a receipt helps.
Is it legal?
It's if it's commercially, if it's legally acquired, and you have some receipts, that's good. You still can't bring anything that's specifically prohibited in California. So I'd have to do a little bit of research to see what would be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed. But
shrimp and lobster are illegal for foreigners to take in Mexico. But if you can buy them, it's legal. Probably okay.
Yeah,
huh?
come back with
Would
your
that
receipt.
still be a declaration at the border, though?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's
always safer with the declaration.
Yeah, completely.
Have you when you stop people coming from Coronado Islands or whatever, and they don't have a declaration on the boat, have you cited them?
Well, way we're trained is we typically treat it as California fish unless the angler proves otherwise. If he goes, well, I've been fishing in Mexico all day, and well, where's your license? Is your plotter show you've been down there? And if they can't provide any reasonable proof that they've been in Mexico, then we treat it as California fish.
Right.
It all depends on how the scenario plays out and what evidence we have at hand and what the fisher is telling us.
It might be the reason why you just want to respect your officer.
Yeah. But again, just have the paperwork in order when you cross the border.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just always better.
Simple enough. Hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to find out who's won this $300 gift certificate and a little more from Eric and Craig and Ken Franke when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hi, this is Tommy the Fishmonger from Tunaville Market and Grocery and the TV show Fishmonger. I've known Yosef Husseini for over 20 years, and he's the expert when it comes to real estate. He's helped me with estate planning and multiple estate questions that the average guy like myself just doesn't understand. Yosef's not only a fellow angler, but he's an amazing realtor that specializes in helping us in the angling community find their ultimate home. If you own a home, get a free, no obligation home evaluation now online from Yusuf by typing in SoCalHomeEval.com. All you do is put in your address and you'll get that report fast. Yusuf is a SoCal real estate guy to go to. He's helped me and many of my customers and family members to find what they are looking for in a home. He understands the real estate market like no other, so take it from Tommy the Fishmonger. Yusuf's the real deal when it comes to your real estate needs. Go to SoCalHomeEval.com and I'll see you at Tunaville Market and Grocery.
Gamakatsu is not just all about hooks. There's so much more, including the new Gamakatsu Fillet knives. Once you try one, you'll always want more. The new tools are also very special, including the Gamakatsu braid scissors made with ceramic blades so they'll never rust. Check out the new lineup of shirts and hats, and of course, Gamakatsu fishing pliers and boxes are amazing. Gamakatsu, much more than just the best hooks. Get them at your local tackle shop or at gamakatsu.com.
This is Bob Hoots at Costa Sunglasses. Visual signs are a critical part of my fishing program, from bay bass to bluefin. I wear Costas to see what's out there. Costas are built with advanced polarization technology with our 580 lens, designed to cut through the sun's glare while providing enhanced color to see more fish. Costa was founded by a group of anglers wanting a high-performance lens for every fishing application. Costa has a West Coast style frame and lens for your adventures. CostaSunglasses.com.
Hey, San Diego, the Make It Ford Summer Sales event is on. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers now and make it your best summer yet. Amazing offers and great selection of Ford vehicles, like the Built Wild Bronco family, with a deal you just can't miss. Your biggest adventures are awaiting. Make it Ford, make it yours, make it now. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. We're going to have Eric Cord flip the coin. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Going to a caller or texter.
Yeah.
Go
Right,
for
it.
Flip
Okay,
it.
here we go.
And we've got, is it a
the caller?
Yeah. Jim in National City.
Oh, hey,
Congratulations,
Jim. Congratulations, Jim. You're the winner. Appreciate that very much. Now, Craig, thank you very much for taking the time, being on the phone with us from Santa Barbara, and thank you for all your hard work.
Well, thank you guys. Always a pleasure to talk to you. We're all in this together. Just want to give a shout out to Ken and his folks. Also, Wayne was mentioned earlier. We've just got such a good working relationship with the sport fishing industry right now. It's just so beneficial to all of us to have that. So thanks to all for that.
Absolutely. And thank you for taking the time on your day off to be with us here and answer questions. Ken, thank you too because you're always working. Appreciate you putting together.
Craig and Eric and Wayne, who you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a team. And I'm serious. Everybody in this group's talking constantly for the benefit of the public. So anyway, great group of guys.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Eric, you wanted to go over real quick measuring lobsters.
Yes.
Really important, guys.
Really
Listen
important. That's probably one of our most common violation for lobster season. A lot of folks who are maybe a little bit newer, they don't understand exactly how to measure lobsters. There's some really good instructional videos on YouTube if you do
1 minute. 1 minute.
Yeah.
So you do a search on YouTube. But basically you want to get that front tine of the lobster gauge. You want to bring that front tine down right in between at the very rear edge of the eye sockets. You want to go till it stops. Then you bring that gauge over the back. And if there's any wiggle room, if there's any gap or distance,
It's got to be in a
throw it
line,
back.
Good
not on
direct
the
line
side,
straight across
not
the
at an
back.
angle.
Yep.
When in question, if it's even close, throw it back.
Correct.
You don't want Eric Cord checking.
No, for sure. Thanks, Eric. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it very much. Thank you out there. Thanks to JP for manning everything today. We sure appreciate you. Thanks to Adam for all he does on the Let's Talk Hookup app. And, of course, you out there with text, calls, and phones. Tomorrow on Let's Talk Hookup, Steve Oropeza from Promar and Pablo Fernandez from Fernandez Charters talking lobster tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m. right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube and Facebook Live, and, of course, Sports Grid Radio Network.
Great show, guys.
Thanks. I'm assuming you're on tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow.